Alrighty, welcome to the first Lampside session. So sunrise session, I get up in the morning, I talk about whatever's on my mind, and it's usually like a positive philosophical message or whatever, right? Um, but Lampside sessions is going to be different. Here I want to talk about the darker aspects of humanity, the things that happen, that we have to deal with and we have to process that uh, are genuine struggles that we go through every day, um, that just need to be talked about, but they aren't necessarily fun to talk about, right? And the first one I want to talk about here is addiction. Now, I can't consume drugs on camera. 1 second. But you'll have to take my word. Wow, maybe it'll be easy to. You'll have to take my word for it that cannabis was just consumed. It's the only drug I do. And luckily, I live in a place where I can get access to it safely, cheaply, and easily. Um, because there are other people who can't. Um, and in those cases, like they oftentimes turn to harder drugs or unsafe sources, and that's like a sad scenario, right? But I'm working on my addiction. It may not seem like it. That hit there. Um, it felt good. I'm feeling floaty. I feel less stressed. I feel like I'm less concerned about if anyone hears me outside of my little makeshift room. um, I'm just vibing, And like, that is a crutch. I use cannabis as a crutch to become more confident in that last part, to become less stressed, um, to just get through my day. Oh, feeling a little bit of stress, I'll take a hit. Feeling a little bit of burden, let's take a hit. It's that easy when it's a pin. Um, and it's really that easy too if you work from home or something like that, and you get time to just step aside. I don't, but pins. But like, you know, um, and it's one of those things. I'm working on my addiction, but I won't ever fix it until I get the core root of it, and I also figure out other ways of getting through addiction. Because like, if I'm using weed or my stress, because if I'm using weed to get through stress, um, how do I do that, right? I no longer have weed. I still have stress. Oh no. Well, now I need other coping mechanisms. I've been really working on trying to learn breathing exercises. It was something my grandfather stressed when I was younger, and I was always like, breathing, that's so silly, Like, how can I trusted him because he's my grandfather, but like in my brain, I'm like, how can breathing be so important? I'm hearing my bad upstairs, but on my brain, I'm like, how can breathing be so important? And now it is. And then I'm learning other things too, like if I can, telling someone at work, like, hey, I just need a second, because you can tell people like, hey, I just need a second, and you step outside, um, or stepping into the cooler. It's nice and chilly in there. Kind of helps me reground myself, and just silly things like that. You find out the things that help you. But now that I'm going to be quitting weed again, hopefully for longer. 1 second. I'm gonna have to figure out more ways of healthily coping with stress, especially on a day-to-day basis. Like in a place where I can't just get away for 5 minutes because like I'm in the middle of my job or something, right? Well, how do I do that then? Breathing. Um, and then another thing I've been doing specifically is talking to my thoughts, so to speak, right? Like I'll be working, right? And a customer will stop me and they'll say, say they'll annoy me, right? And I'll get frustrated. And then from there, every little thing will frustrate me. Like, I grabbed this box and the box behind it fell over. Why is everything against me right now? Well, in reality, it's because the way I grabbed that box was a little more aggressive than I normally would have because I'm annoyed, right? And I'm causing the chain reaction of my own annoyance and my thoughts. I'm dwelling on the negative of every scenario, and it's a chain reaction of just dwelling on the negative. Why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? This is annoying. This is annoying me. Why is this happening? And that's not good. Instead, I've been trying to break that. I've been trying to think, okay, pause, step back. That wasn't personal. She was just doing her thing. She was living her life. She didn't mean to offend me in any way. It wasn't a personal attack. She just did XYZ or whatever. Or he just, like whatever the hell happened. It wasn't a personal attack most of the time. People aren't trying to like make your life miserable most of the time. Some people are, but they're miserable, bro. Like, how you gonna let a miserable person make you miserable? You feel me? Like, just live. You feel me? But like, um, most people aren't out here to make your life miserable. So that's the first step. You just take a step back and breathe. You're like, hey, I know I'm angry over this because I feel like I was personally slighted. Well, no, I wasn't personally slighted. It just happened, and it happened. Well, was it a bad thing that happened? I mean, maybe it delayed me a couple seconds or like something like that, But really, it was neutral. It wasn't a bad thing. It's just life. It just happened. And now it's like, okay, well, the cereal that I knocked over, well, that was my own fault. I was being a silly goose. And you're telling me that I can prevent mistakes like that in the future by just realizing my own place in the scenario, my own fault in the scenario? Dude, it's really that easy, bro. And I'm sorry if this is really like tangential, um, but it's kind of just what I wanted to talk about. And like I said, we're all addicted, and my addiction of cannabis definitely doesn't help my thought patterns. So y'all have a good day. Try to cure your addictions and try not to take the stressors of life so personally. It's just life. It is what